Okay, let's start out with the good stuff. I really, really enjoy the responses and the stuff that you're doing in the weekly reading and finding out new things area. That's I got to give you kudos on that. And the responses are solid, and they're and 90% of everybody is giving robust answers, and that's good. And you're looking at things that we don't normally look at, which advances it a little bit. Um, and that's the kudos. It's again, I know I beat a dead horse and people don't like it, but I need you to do exactly what is given to you. It's so important because this is the way I'm grading the final, is how you doing it. Don't take negative effect by the idea of getting edits back. Edits are there so you can do this perfectly the way I'm asking you to do it. Okay, this is what you're going to do in your DNP. The more that you learn, the more that you understand. Again, in these, it's very hard in your mode of working and everything else to understand every single thing about these tests. I'm giving you exactly what you need to be successful when you do it, and understanding sometimes some of the tests you're going to finish and go, I still don't understand it. It's okay to not understand everything. If you understand everything, man, that is a blessing in disguise, because it's hard. I mean, I've been doing this for 15 years. It's very easy for me. So as we go through this, remember that these are extremely easy for me. I've been teaching this class for 15 years. It comes very quickly. So if something doesn't make sense, feel free. You can, I have my phone with me. If you don't want to say it over words, you can text me. Don't use the chat. Text me on my phone, 562-685-1901. It sits right next to me. I'll come up, I'll answer the question. That's if that's whatever makes you feel comfortable. Years ago, we had this program at Cal State Fullerton where I had the PowerPoint and I had a chat right there, and they all had computers. So if they had a question like, what I don't understand the mean still, it would come up, it would be anonymous. I could flow right into it and say, well, remember the mean is this, this is this. It doesn't bother me. If you want to interrupt, please interrupt. You're not bothering me, because I have no problem interrupting you when we're going through something. If you understand how I work in these, is if you're going to give an answer and it's wrong, I try to stop you. And it's not because I'm trying to be rude. It's because I don't want you. It's kind of like a lawyer. You know, you put it out there, you see it on TV, you put it out there, and they say, oh, I take it back. That's the idea, is if you're going the wrong direction, I want to stop you so you don't get in your head to continue going the wrong direction. Sometimes people see it as rude. Me, we could be here for hours. So there'll be some questions. I just need you to answer them the best you can. And then we move on from there, because it helps to remember things, because you say, oh, I remember hearing that in class. I remember hearing that. Because when I talk all the time, which I have to, it does that. So just know that. Okay, we have 2 tests this week, which means you have 4 assignments. I don't know why you still have to do the reading one, but I'm sorry, that's it. The other part of it is that the only designer for the department is going out for knee surgery. I don't know how long she's going to be down. So if there's any problems, it's going to end up in announcements. I mean, I've given you like 6, 7 announcements and emails. Okay. If you're not staying on top of that, I've only had one person hit me back and say, hey, what? And I said, it's been an announcement. It's been announcements for days. Okay. There was a new announcement today. If you're doing Excel, make sure you see it for the independent sample. I'm going to go over it tonight, because what I did last semester, I guess there's been some changes to the way I can do it. So I apologize. I just used last one because I've never heard of Excel changing anything, but the way it is, it's an easy fix. So if you get those wrong numbers, I'm just going to, I'll work with you individually and that. So you're getting into the big part of it is you're running 2 tests this week, a 1 sample t-test and an independent sample t-test. Now I want you to look at the screen, and when you look at the screen, you'll see that the T, the O, and the S, and the I, and the S are all in caps. Those letters are in caps. The T has no space between it. like everything else, everything like that usually has a space in between. They don't like to, well, this one really likes the T test, and the T is italicized. I don't know why. I think they do it just to irritate all of us. And remember, I've done this for so many times. And even my mentor, when we're working on something, says, you forgot to do the T. Because it's just something that, it's one letter, but it's so important that you're doing things correctly because it saves time in editing. You understand that when you do your DNP, you're going to do something that's going to get edited. Sometimes they're going to throw out the whole thing that you just did because it doesn't work or it doesn't speak right. And that's the real thing. The little things really count. And that's where you will save time compared to everybody else. Because if your mentor and your reader and whoever's reading your stuff says your APA, I said, the one thing on my dissertation guy, my mentor for dissertation was when I handed in my first paper and he looked and he goes, did you have somebody edit this? I said, no. And I told him, your APA is perfect. I said, yes, sir. It's because I teach it. And then he started laughing. Now that's cheating. Okay. So, but it really helped. And what it does is it will move your paper along faster. And you won't have to make so many small edits. All right. So first thing I want to do before I go into, I want to kind of recap last week so you understand some of the stuff that you got. So, I mean, this paper will examine the frequencies of gender scholarship awarded and recruitment status of water polo players. That's a perfect intro sentence. It says exactly what you need to do in the shortest amount of words. Okay, the research question of the study is as follows. What are the frequencies of gender scholarship awarded and recruitment status among water polo players? Beautiful. The purpose of the study is to examine the frequencies of gender scholarship and recruitment status within the population of water polo players. Bottom line is, it doesn't say relationship. It doesn't say difference. It doesn't say anything else. And the funny thing is, those of you that are continuing to do that, guess what? I would imagine that you're going to continue to do it the rest of the semester because you should know, you should have known from the last week that each of them is individual. It's just a group of data that gives you an answer. Okay, that's that. Now let's move on to the next one. Results. There were 30 participants. There were 17, 56.7% male and 13.43% female water polo players. Okay. For the demographic question, were you awarded a scholarship? 70% received a scholarship award and 30% did not receive a scholarship award. For the demographic question of did you get recruited? 83.3% were recruited and 5 were not recruited. There should be a period there. My bad. So, but some of you wrote a whole bunch of extra words in there. And what I need to let you understand is that those extra words, somebody put participated every time, participated, or other words, and it was very redundant. We regurgitate things, but we try not to be redundant. And the thing is that you're a scholar. You're a scholar, and it should be simple and very to the point. That's the biggest point that I'm going to be driving home the rest of the semester. You're going to find out that you're going to write some stuff and they're going to go, what are you trying to say here? I don't understand it. Even though you understand it, it's not expressly written and it's not expressly clear. So that if you see this one, if you saw some other ones, it was hard to read. This is what we call as readability. Part of your DMP is being able to be to be very smooth and I say the word readable, but it sounds like such a negative word. Readable. So when I read stuff from people in class and it's like you're trying to fight all the way through to get to the main point, or fighting to get or it's like it makes you want to stop reading. It should, when you read it, it should just kind of flow off your tongue. So that's the direction you're going. Now I've seen some things because this is a rebuild. There's a couple things that you need to know that I guess in my mind are clear because we've done it before, but then again, it's not. So I'm going to clear those up tonight. So I'm going to move through this, and again, if I go really fast, please let me know, and I'll go back and I'll go over whatever I can. That's why I wanted to do it a little bit earlier. It's going to be longer tonight. But please make sure that you understand this because this is not really, really hard. It's a matter of it's challenging enough because now you're moving into the real testing portion of it when you're testing data and everything else. We're running a 1 sample t-test. And in simplistic forms, you're running a test versus a variable versus a test value. Okay. So what is a test value? It's a number, period, generally given by the researcher. If you're doing a survey, that number is the mean of whatever the question is or the theme that you're looking at. Okay. So like if you have 5 questions, if you're doing a survey and you have 5 questions that go to, let's say the theme of, let's see, we're doing emotional exhaustion. So it's good. Emotional exhaustion, you're asking 5 questions on emotional exhaustion. Okay. Those 5 questions have a Likert scale, and that's when you go from 1 to 5, strongly agree to strongly disagree. Okay. Okay. And it can vary, but that's just general. So the middle number is 3. The mean is 3. 1, 2, 3 is the mean, 4, 5 for that one individual Likert scale question. If I go all the way down and I do the 5 questions, now there's 5 questions. If I add up the 5s, it equals out to 25. So that's the highest number I can get. If I add up all the 1s, if there's no 0, of course, there's no 0. So all the 1s, it's 5. So the numbers go from 5 to 25, 15. We're considering 15 as being the mean. Okay. Okay. Because you have 5 questions, your mean is 3. It works out to 15. In the examples we're doing, it's an arbitrary number. And it can be any arbitrary number. In my kinesiology class, the best thing I do, I have everybody run a mile. We're all in the same team. Let's say we're on a lacrosse team, and we have to run a mile. It's the beginning of the season. You run the mile. I believe the mile should be in 8 minutes. You all run the mile, and then all of a sudden, I put all those mile times in, and it comes out that the mean for the group is 9. That means some people are good and some people are below and some people are above. It's not a question of how many are below and how many are above. It's the mean of that test, whatever it is. All these tests go to do one thing. It's to make a choice. Remember, we've continued to beat the dead horse about a sliver. So tonight you're looking at each of these are slivers. You would have multiple slivers that you would be looking at to be able to draw conclusions on those, to draw bigger conclusions from. Always keep that in your mind. Sometimes that one thing will blow up, and sometimes it will take multiple types of tests to draw to those conclusions to draw out. And the conclusions are generally 99% of the time in this class are one sentence. Again, people say, I'm so busy, I don't have time. I'm asking for one sentence, and sometimes I get a paragraph that says absolutely nothing. You need to hit me with that. You need to hit with that thing because you're moving on to something else. You're going to take that little conclusion and put it with another conclusion. Not in this class, but when you do your DMP. And I can't tell you you're going to use this one. I know which ones that they've talked about using, but these scaffold and make the other ones make a little more sense. Okay. So let me bring up this picture. And some of you have, if you've ever worked at Starbucks, has anybody ever worked at Starbucks? I'm gonna do a 5-second countdown. Any in the room ever worked at Starbucks?
No. Okay.
I'm gonna tell you this now. So when you go into Starbucks, this is what you see on the wall above the car, the drive-through. Okay, and these are different numbers. So you see the bottom where it says on-time percentage is 67%. That's an outcome. The other ones work toward that outcome. So basically, this is how long it's taking to get a car from the box when they order. I'm just calling it to the cashier. And this one, menu to cashier to presenter. 05, 109, and then 355. Now, when I was young and not as good looking as I am right now, I used to work at Taco Bell in the corporate office, and I did point of sale. This is point of sale. One type of point of sale. I used to know how many tacos, how many burritos, how many enchiladas Taco Bell sold throughout their entire network. And I used to do it, in those of you old enough, on an original TRS-80 with the black screen with the green letters and yellow letters or whatever it was. It was archaic. We used floppy disks. That's how old I am. Okay. And I used to take that data and bring it and work it into a program. And then I would check that program to make sure the numbers were relatively good and there wasn't any mistakes. And then I'd upload it to the mainframe and would go to the president and the VPs. Okay. So I understood this process before I even started teaching this. So understanding that in that case, it's a different type of process, but it gives the same lines. They put those up there and they put the boxes in to be able to gauge how long it's taking each store. Then they set a national average. Okay. So let's say it's 355. So let's say I take every Starbucks in the country and I now upload the average time it's taking them to get through for every store, the thousands and thousands of stores. I now would run a one sample t-test. And I, as the researcher, would now choose which test, what number that would be. So let's say, I'm just for giggles, let's say 355 is the number. This picture, whatever this was, is on point. But now I put it across the entire thing, and the mean, by putting in 3 minutes and 55 seconds, the mean may be 425. And now this is where I tell you, this is where it starts to show you that now these people can make a choice. Okay. They then can look at how certain stores that are going really slow, what they're doing versus the ones that are doing fast. Keeping the fast to stay the same and the slow to implement some of the things that the slower people implement faster things for the slower people. Run it again and then run the same number. And let's say now the number is dropped and it's below 355. Now I make a choice. Do I run it nationwide and put in these new processes or whatever it is? And you can put it into any different thing. You look at blood pressure. You can look at how many times somebody's taking blood pressure medicine. All these things turn into one sample t-test. And it's one thing. So you're not looking at a difference. You're not looking at a difference, and you're not looking at these other things in this one. You're just looking at a one sample t-test to examine the test value of whatever it is. Okay? Everybody with me so far? If not, I'm going to give about a couple seconds for you to pop in. Remember, the test value is something that is chosen by the researcher. It can be anything. You can change the number. You're not locked in on that number. So if I put in that mean at 355 and everybody's doing really well, now I'm going to drop it down to a lower level and see how many people are above that one and that one. So it is relatively kind of an open idea that you can do. Okay. And then I found this, and it's okay, but it's better than nothing. Compares the mean of a single sample, which is basically one set of numbers, to a known or hypothesized population mean. Okay. Purpose, example. Okay. Suppose you want a standard plant height of 20 centimeters. Okay. Well, in my plant height really different than 20 centimeters, or is the difference just due to chance? So again, when you're doing your hypotheses, okay, it's HO, just like we did in that's why we did all that. And I've already got some people that have typed out the words null hypothesis. Go back and look at your homework from before. HO equals HO, and then in this case, okay, you would be basically, you're still using the word difference here. There will be no difference between, let's say, tonight we're the score for emotional exhaustion and the the test value of 15, which is, I think that's what I'm using. Okay. So, and then there will be, but understand this, you're not looking for statistical differences. Just what is it? Statistically significant. It's not statistically significant. It's either enough. Right now, your only thing you're doing is you're either doing a difference for the rest of the semester, or it's a relationship, and you only use relationship once, correlation. So it should make it easy just to do the rest. All the rest are difference. If you're looking at a mean versus that, you're looking at the difference between the two. Other tests today, you're looking at the difference between two means, and it's really clear cut. Okay. So I'm going to break away from this real quick, and I'm going to pull out some stuff, and I'm going to do some Excel, and I'm going to do a little SPSS. If everything works like it's supposed to. Any questions so far? Guess I'm doing good so far. Okay. It's like homework 2. I'm missing something. Oh, I didn't want that. Okay, give me 2 seconds here. Come on, sunshine. Where'd you go? Oh, Excel. And let's go here. Okay, so this is basically reduce. This is what we're doing. We're doing a test done by another student of mine, and this is reduced sense of accomplishment. Okay, reduced sense of accomplishment. And these are the scores that are tabulated together in this mean of reduced sense of accomplishment. And she was looking at burnout, and basically she was looking at burnout of basically nurses. Okay, so in this case, we are looking at, we need to run a 1 sample t-test here. All right, and then so we need to go to data analysis, and then we're going to this one down here, the 2 sample assuming unequal variances. We're hitting okay, and then we have to pick our numbers. So we're going here, and we're going to highlight that group. Okay, and then we're going back here, and then nope, that's not going to work. I got to cancel here. I'm going to get out completely. My bad. For this one, you need to put 2 zeros, and the reason why is because it's how you can run it in Excel. And those that have SPSS, bear with me. This shouldn't take long. Okay, I click on this one, and I slide all the way down, and I hit this one again, and then I'm going down to the second box of my variable, the 2 dummy variables right here, 2 dummy variables. Okay, now my hypotheses mean for this one is 1115 for 15. Okay, and then basically at this point I'm moving on to the output range, and that's where I want it to go. So I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to click that box right there. It's going to put it in there. So you've got the variable range 1, the 2 dummy variables in range 2. You got a hypothesis mean. Your alpha is always going to be 0.05. Okay, and you can put labels on there, and then when you highlight that whole box, you put the label on there and it'll put RSA above it. Okay. So now I hit OK. And now it runs this. Okay. Can everybody see that? Make it bigger now. So in respect to this, we're only worried about variable 1. Variable 2 comes out here. Okay. You'll see that there's 30 observations, which means there was 30 participants, and the DF is 29, hypotheses is 15, the mean is 13.9, and we don't worry about the variance, okay? And then these numbers are all crazy, okay? So what you do is you highlight this, you hit format cells, and then you hit number, make sure it says 2 where it says decimal places, and bam, you get a number that is legal. Legal. Okay. So you have basically all the numbers that you need to do the write-up. Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to go over to, now going to run this bad boy in SPSS real quick. And I am going to go to analyze, and then I'm going to compare means. And then I'm going to go to one sample t-test. I go down to the bottom here and I find my thing of reduced sense of accomplishment. I move it over. Now here's my test value. My test value is 15. I'm not going to do the effect sizes right now. And I'm going to hit OK. And now hopefully it's going to go somewhere. There it is. Now I have the same numbers. I have to round up here, and I have to round up on all whatever it's here. Now, I'm not going to mark it down, but if you wanted to put anytime you see below 0.001, if you want to put equals 000, I'm going to accept it because you really don't know. I don't know why it's, I guess if I right click it, if I edit it, and then I click on that, no, it still doesn't even change it. If I do this one, it should give me the actual number. But if you look at this, say 0.000, you're on the same, it's not going to matter whether you put either one. It's both going to go in the right direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this. And I'm going to bring up, that is everything I need right there. I'm going to bring up a Word document. And I'm going to do the write-up for this. Word. It's got to start, sorry. So as it's starting, you're not really worried about the participants in this one. You're worried about the mean, okay? You're worried about standard deviation, the T, the DF, and the p-value, okay? I think I got them all, but we're going to go through this and we're going to write it up real quick, and you're going to see how it actually works. Let's see if I can get this. See if I can be fancy here. I want to go left. And then I'll put 1. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay. So I indent the first line. I say 2, not the 2. Examine the, I'm just going to put RSA, reduced sense of accomplishment, for, let's say nurses. A1, oops. This doesn't sound right, but it's 1 sample t-test was performed. Okay, so let's look at these numbers here real quick. Can somebody tell me, is this significant or non?
Significant.
Perfect. It's below 0.05. Just need to learn how to type. And then we'll make this a capital and we'll give it a little italicized like it's supposed to. And then we're going to come over here and we say, the data was significant. Now you use the word, I'm sorry, statistically significant. Hold on one second. Even I have to make sure I'm writing it exactly like I'm supposed to. All right. And I did wrong. So this is the results showed significant difference in RSA in nurses. Period. I'm sorry, comma. Okay, now we're going to our t-value. And I'm always going to call it the t-value statement. So it's a t-value, it's the df, okay? And it's the significance. So it's everything in this bottom box, and that bottom box is done other than you need to make sure that that test value does say what it's supposed to say. So it's t, and that's going to be italicized, and there's going to be no space. And the df here is 29. Close it. Space equals space, and then the t-value of negative 4.03, comma, p, and I'm going to put it as equals 0.000, and then a period, and then this p is italicized. Okay? Therefore, come on, not responding fast. Okay? There was a statistical difference in RSA in nurses. Okay. Now I do my mean and my standard deviation. So my mean here would be an M, which would be italicized, space equals space 13.90. And then it's comma SD in italics equals 1.49, 1.49, close parentheses, period. I will come back for that. Okay, so now the next part of it is due to the test value of 15, and I'm not going to type this in, but because it's in the example, due to the test value of 15, okay, what can we conclude from this mean? Does anybody know without me teaching it to you? Let me just throw something out there and then if somebody throws it out there, then I'm going to jump right in and I'm going to give you the rest of it.
Is
What
it
do you think?
less than?
That is a great answer without out adding anything to it. It's perfect. Thank you. It's less than the mean of 15. Okay. So do we believe that they have a good sense? Do they have a reduced sense of accomplishment, or do they have a higher sense of accomplishment?
Isn't it the T value we're looking at, or?
No, we don't. We're done with the T value. You're looking at the mean. This 13.9 versus the test value. This is your variable mean versus your test value. Now, understand the question is, we're asking, do you have a reduced sense of accomplishment? So in this case, it's kind of goes opposite. We take that number 15, it's either above 15 or below 15, but we have to look at the question. So if it's above 15, do you think that they have a higher reduced sense of accomplishment or not?
Yes.
No.
Lower.
Who said no? Perfectly. No. You
Me.
want there you go. Me is whoever me is. You did a good job. I think two of you said it simultaneously. Thank you. Guess what? You're right. You want the lower number. So in this case, they believe that they do not have a sense of accomplishment. Okay. Wait. They do believe they have a reduced sense of accomplishment because it's below. The lower is higher. Okay. The lower in this one is higher. So you have to look at the question. So like when we're doing your one for IQ, it's IQ. It's just a number. It's just a number. And we gave you a number on, I think, the IQ of the test value of 116. It's either they had a higher IQ or they had a lower IQ, period. You have nothing else to base it on. You're not running any other questions to build a case of anything. The only thing that you know in that one is either that they were smarter than the researcher thought it was, and you don't write it that way, or they were dumber than not as smart as the researcher thought they should be. That's it. Okay. So in this conclusion, since the number is lower, and we're going to say that they did not have they did have a reduced sense of accomplishment, the starts out with, due to the test value of 15 and the sample mean of 13.9, period, the nurses believed that they did have a reduced sense of accomplishment, period. That's it. That's exactly what it says. There's no you don't go on and you don't say da 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 da. It's the test is the test value versus the mean. The ones you're doing for class are so much easier than this. This is more of a true survey question. But when you're looking at certain tests that have a test value that's mandatory, above means one thing and below means another. And the same thing when you're using a number. Above means one thing and another. If you've got the wrong number, you got the wrong number. You know, if everybody's above that number, then you would change in the IQ. If that number wasn't valid and everybody was above it, I would then raise that number up and rerun it again and change my test value. It's pretty arbitrary in the one sample t-test. So if you go to the notes that I sent out in the thing, and I don't know why it's still saying access tonight. She said it was fixed. She's going on surgery, so we're dealing with what's in there. You'll notice that it's set up just as it is. Okay, so let's do this to add to this. Somebody give me what you believe the null is for this. What in the world is that word? What do you think the null would be for This one. Did I lose everybody?
I'm going to take a stab at it. There is a
Please.
significant difference.
Remember, no significant.
Okay. Well, I was reading your paper. Okay. There
Right.
is a difference.
Okay, that's a good start. Okay, there will be. We're doing the null. So what would the null be?
No difference.
No difference. So there will be no difference in RSA in nurses. Okay, there will be, the alternative would be H1 italicized equals. There will be a difference in RSA in nurses. See, it reads very good. Now, in some of yours, when you're talking about and you're using an IQ score, I would say IQ score and the test value of 116 for both of them. So remember, if you do the null right and do the alternative, your introduction is a paragraph, and then you have the two separated lines of the null, HO and H1. There's no words of null hypothesis above it. You don't bullet it. We don't use bullets. We don't very rarely use numbers or italics a lot in APA. So it's just exactly that. Now, let's do this. Let's do the assumption for this. And I'm not doing all this for the other one, but we're going to do it for this one. So let's do this. And we go, I need analyze graphs. I need a histogram. And I don't know how this is going to turn out for this one, but we're going to give it a shot because I didn't do this. Display normal curve. And then I hit OK. And bam, I get this. You're not putting this in. You're not putting the graphs in there. It doesn't ask for that. It asks for the assumption. Okay, so when we look at this, does it look like it's pretty normal?
Actually, it does in the assignment. It says prepare and export the histogram.
On which one? Oh, she didn't change it.
On the one sample t-test IQ. So no histogram.
No histograms.
No history.
I asked her to take that out. I'm sorry. Yeah, you don't have to show it because there's things that you show and there's things that you don't show in your paper. And the reason you don't show it is because when you say the assumption of normality of the data being normal, you're saying that you've looked at the graph and you've done that. That's a scholarly portion of it. So do we think this looks normal?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little off, but it's still normal. So when you're doing this, you don't have to talk about the histogram. You don't have to talk about anything. For the assumption of and you basically, I'm going to give you some words. The assumption of normality was proven by the histogram. Was proven by the histogram. If you look at it and it's not normal, you say that the assumption was not met because of lack of normality or lack of a normal distribution.
So you don't need to have us write if it was skewed to the left or the right,
Nope.
like directions are saying. No.
Nope.
Also.
When you all we're looking at is the assumptions. So if you go back to that week we did assumptions and you look at the assumptions in the book, I'm not having you do them all because I already know that they meet all of them. You look at the graph and say that looks normal to me. Okay. And then you just put in there that the assumption was accepted because of normalcy or the data was normal, so the assumption was met. However you want to write it, but just want a sentence that says the assumptions were met by the data being normal. That's it. And then in your actual DMP, you will not do this. This is stuff you do in the background. Because if we're running, understand if this wasn't normal, we would then not be able to run the one sample t-test. We'd have to do a non-parametric chi-squared test, and that would be totally different. So that's why you're when you do your DMP, you're set up for success where you got a good chance that your numbers are going to come out where they're going to be normal. I've done many dissertations, and I've never had a problem with normalcy because the questions are on point. The people that are answering the questions are, you get funny questions when you get people that don't understand the questions and that in a dissertation or a master's thesis. I haven't found anything where it came out where it was just off the charts. So if I go to the classroom, and I so apologize for that. A minute I saw that, I said, I don't want the histograms in there this week because you have other things to do and you have 4 assignments. So I'll bring it up. And then I'm going to talk about, I'm only going to do the Excel. If anybody needs me to do the SPSS for the independent, the other one, we'll do it. Okay. So I did it differently. I'll come back to the room in a second. I don't want to get through this. So if you're doing this in Excel, okay, same thing, you go to data analysis. Now we have to do assuming equal variances. Okay. Now, before you start, you have to sort your file. So like, I think most everybody is gender. Okay. So you highlight this, you hit sort, you highlight your numbers, you sort, and you see all the 1s are together and the 2s are together. Okay. So I don't need dummy variables. I don't need what I needed in that one. I hit data analysis. I had equal variances assumed. I hit okay. Now you do have 2 variables here because there's no dummy variables. So I'm going to do 1, and I'm going to grab just this line here until I run out of 1s. Okay. And then I'm going to hit the little box again. And then I'm going to come down here and do the second one. And I'm going to grab all the 2s here. And I'm going to hit the box again. And then there's no hypothesis mean because we're looking at the variances of 2. Okay. And then it'll make a little more sense in a few minutes. Now I'm going to give it a spot to go to. And now you see that all of these are posted, and then I hit okay, and bam, there it is. Now what I have to do is I have to format the cells again. So it makes sense. You don't have to do the mean. I always do it because I don't want to make any mistakes. And it does all the work for me. So I like when other people do work for me. And then I don't need any of that right there. And then I need to go down here and I'll do the T-stat all the way to the bottom, even though I'm not using them all. Format the cells, okay? And then I'm going to do my alignment. I'm going to do number, and I'm going to hit okay. And now I have everything I need. This variable right here is male, and this one is female. So if I'm looking at this, why are there no numbers on this side? Because they're pooled together over here because it has to go into one area. So the only thing that's not really there is this one right here, which you are, in this case, with what we have, you already know, where is it? Sort. Okay. Equals sum. Those 2 equals, wrong one, sorry. So that would be 8. 8, return. 30 participants, 28 DF. In the 1 sample t-test, you had 30 participants and you had 1 that varied. That's the DF. That's all you really need to know. In this one, in the independent sample, you got 2 variables. So you have 30 participants minus 2 equals 28, 2 to vary. Okay. Now you have a DF of 28. This is your T-stat, and here is your you always want the 2-tailed. Okay. So is this significant or not?
Not.
Not. It's below point. It's above 0.05, so it's non-significant. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the notes and show you in this case where we're at on this one. Okay. So independent sample. Okay. We have all the numbers here. So to investigate participants' perceptions. So in this case, whatever you're doing, you're looking at. I don't remember exactly what it was. Use your best words, but your bottom line is your introductory sentence needs to outline kind of what you're looking at. I'll go back and look at this, but if you look at it, it's basically the same thing, just a little bit different. So investigate participants' perceptions of gender and athletes' emotional exhaustion. So in this case, it would be to investigate reduced sense of accomplishment in nurses. An independent sample t-test was calculated. The results of the analysis was a non-significant difference. And this one would be in RSA in nurses, comma. So the T for this one would be, where is it? Excel. So the T in this one would then be negative 1.69. Okay, right here, 1.69 actually. All right. Oh, these are the right numbers, just a different, I've used different words in the example. Okay. And then the P value, the P is italicized and it was negative 1.02. Okay. It should be 0.10. But 1.02 is fine. And there is no significant difference in reduced sense of accomplishment in nurses with females. And you go from big to small. Okay. 13.44 to 11.33, not differing significantly. Okay. And then female. So here, females had a higher emotional exhaustion than males. Okay. I already gave you the answer to that. So
Well, go
in this
back.
case, yes, shoot. Go ahead. Somebody had a question. I don't really like that after all. Somebody had a question? Go back up
Nope,
to.
I'm good.
Go. I'm ready. Did somebody have a question? Everybody's muted.
Was the hot mic?
Oh, hot mic. Okay. So I go back and I look at the means here. And this is where this one is extremely simple as you go through it. Everything else is part of the story. Okay. The means in a one sample t-test and the mean in the one sample t and the means in the independent sample t-test is everything. Okay. Okay. All right. It's everything. One is higher than the other. So you can see this line right here. This is all the conclusion that should be in your discussion. Females had a higher level of emotional exhaustion than males. It's one versus the other. Okay. One win, one loses. It's not one win and one loses and one loses and one wins. So it's not females had a higher level of emotion than males and males had a lower than women. No, it's just very straightforward. It's a piece of the puzzle. Now, understanding that we've now used one of the demographics from 2 weeks ago to create data from a set of numbers. Okay, from a set of numbers. And if you run it in SPSS, you're going to get the same thing. Okay, so if now I have that, it gives you the same numbers along the way. Bring it up. If I'm going to run the graph here and I run the histogram, the reduced sense of accomplishment, bottom line is for this one, it's the same. Sorry. Let me see if I take another one real quick. What happens if I do, let's see if I do this one. D. So let's change it to this one. Graph, histogram, take out that one. It's going to move me down to the bottom. And let's say I take devaluation, throw it over there. And what did I get? Where is it? Output 1. Where are you? We're still normal, but it's almost like bimodal. Okay. But in this case, if you looked at this and said it was relatively normal, I would say that. Let's say it wasn't normal. Let's say that really wasn't normal, is really skewed to the left or the right. You're going to say that the assumption of normality is not met in the histogram. That's it. Again, short, sweet. I don't need to know it's left skewed or right skewed. This is the point where I say you can put that in there, but it's just extra. And it doesn't, in all honesty, it doesn't answer the question that you're looking at. If it makes sense. The skew doesn't matter. The assumption either met or it's not met. Okay. So again, the hypotheses here, and I'm just going to bust through this real quick. The hypotheses would be, the null hypotheses would be it would be the same as this one. I'm not going to redo it. It's the same, actually the same test, just in this. Okay. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I lied. So the null hypotheses would be, there will be a difference between male and female scores in the area of reduced emotional emotional exhaustion. Okay. Or reduced sense of accomplishment. Flip the script and you're going to do the other one. There will be a difference in scores on reduced sense of accomplishment on male and female nurses. It's like I tell you, the first one, some of yours, if it's just a number that you're looking at and you're doing a test variable, but when you do the independent sample, you're always telling your people exactly what you're doing. It's not just on reduced sense of accomplishment, because that tells me you're running one test on one thing rather than that. And you can say reduced sense of accomplishment on gender. That works too. So if you think about it, they're exactly the same at the very beginning until you get to the means and how you look at the mean in the very end and how you draw your actual conclusion. So let me go back to the PowerPoint because there's just a little bit more, and hopefully I did it both ways. I want to see how it works better, if it makes more sense. Slideshow, and I need to go here, here, here. To find out the mean of two unrelated groups that are significantly different from each other, okay, we're examining the difference in the means, and pretty much that's it. So what I just gave you, I took a lot of it from the notes. So if you follow the example in the notes, okay, you're going to be right on point for all of them. And I'm not going to be able to get it changed. So if you put the histograms in there, I'm not going to stress like I normally do about it. But understand, when you get to the final, we're working toward perfection. So I'm looking for perfection. I'm not looking for hit and miss. So if you're not doing the edits and you're not getting the edits and you're not getting the words in the right place, when you come to do your final, you're going to struggle, and you're going to get a set of data that's already done. You don't have to run it. You're going to get a set of data and you're going to do the write-up and come up with a conclusion for it. Week 11. Yeah, I hit her on that last week, but now she's out, so I'll take it as it is. So let's talk about the paper real quick, and then we're out. Okay. Prepare an introductory sentence. It says it right here. Introductory section is one paragraph. That means you don't have to put the leads in. Okay. All right. Prepare an introductory sentence. Okay. It does say, and note if it's normal, skewed, and left and right. So if you do it, I'm not going to stress about it. But from this point on, we want to work toward getting it so you're just saying the words and inferring it. Okay. Research question. It always starts with what the research questions for this, in this case, this test or this study. I'd rather use study because that's what you're going to be using in your DNP. Okay. Either way, it's fine. Colon and then it's a question. Not elaborate, guys. You do a really good short introductory sentence, it's going to fall right into your research question. It's going to fall right into your purpose statement. And remember, the word we're using this week is a difference. Now we're not looking at the difference we're looking at the difference between the test value and the variable that you're looking at, period. Okay. Okay. Test value number, whatever, purpose statement, and where the assumptions met. So you can run the histogram, you can put it in there if you want, or not, save yourself some time, and just tell me if the assumptions were met. Those that are in here haven't done it yet. Now you can just do it that way, and you're not going to get dinged. Null and hypothesis, formatted correctly like we did in the prior weeks. If you can't remember, follow this video and do the other one. Okay. Then the results section, you prepare your write-up. Okay. And then your discussion. Okay. Your discussion is the one sentence. It's not in the write-up. It's you do the write-up and your conclusion goes in the results section. Okay. Everything that you're going to do in this is going to be one simple sentence. It sounds like it's juvenile. The sentence sounds very, very juvenile, but that is what you're looking for. If you're reading articles, they don't elaborate in the results section on a lot of stuff. They'll infer a couple things, but they won't be until you get to the real discussion. It's not a real discussion. I want it separated so I can just look at it and go, that's perfect. Let's move on. There would be a whole bunch of these in your results section, and then you would discuss all of the conclusions, these little conclusions, you'd put them together. And in your discussion, that's where you dive in and you explain and you make inferences and you make bigger conclusions in your discussion. And that's what you're looking at here. And it starts with a leader page. You follow the template. Introduction has a title. It should be introduction, results, and discussion. Those are your three titles on the left-hand side, not in the middle, the left-hand side. And no title in the top of the page. You have a title page for that. Okay. Times New Roman 12 font. Indent your first lines. Those are the things I'm seeing, the little things. And they are little things, but you'll learn those little things now when it comes time for your DMP and you're really stressing. Those little things that you train for now will not be a problem there, and you'll do it all the time. And guess what? Whoo! It's smooth. It's smooth. You're going to have less edits to do. I see Karen has a question. Shoot, Karen.
So you do want a title page?
Yes, I do. Prepare the title page.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, do the title page. If you were in my DMP class, I would say I don't want title pages because you're wasting time. Because everything the way I teach it is you write something up, it's on the page, and you're going to be copy and pasting it into your main document. Here, it's a single assignment. Okay. So I know that's a lot, and I'm sorry that it's a lot, but I needed to get through the 2 tests. But as you can see here, this is already set up for you. You're filling in the blanks. Okay. So I want to finish with what this really is. Okay. You're telling a story, and you're telling a scholarly story about a test that you ran. So your first sentence tells you what it is and what the variables are. Your second test really goes to show whether there was a significance or not. And then the t value is given because that is the most important parts of the T value, the DF, I'm sorry, the T, the DF, the T value, and the P value, which is the significance. Okay. This would tell us if we were to take the null or the alternative, which is it's not in there, but you should be putting it in there. In this case, with with being non-significant, are we rejecting the null? Or are we accepting the alternative?
For this one,
Yeah, for this one right here.
you're rejecting the null and accepting the alternative.
Perfect. Yes. Yes. Yes, exactly. Which, by the way, says the same thing as putting down 0.010 if you understand anything about statistics. But as I go through, okay, great, it's statistically significant, but why? Why is the reason? Well, you now look at the next line, tells you your means, and then your conclusion confers everything you just said, but you're not talking about statistically anymore, because that statistic of 0.01 only points to the hypotheses, whether it's statistically significant or not, or and answering the hypotheses. So everything has a reason for being there. If you add more words, you take away from what you're doing. Okay. Very straightforward. It's to the point. The conclusion is to the point, is this. Okay. Okay. And then, everything's here that you need to be successful for both ones. Doesn't have the what do you call it? The Excel, but if you run the Excel correctly, you're fine. And if you're doing Excel and you need help, please reach out. I'm going to leave you with one other thing before I pray and ask if there's any questions. Sundays are becoming a real challenge for me because I'm at church all day long. I go to 2 different churches. I'm a lead usher at one. I'm now the director of AV at the other church I'm going to. I'm serving all day. If you send me an email, it's very challenging for me to get back to you. Okay. Your best bet is to use your phone and text message me, take pictures of what you're looking at, because there is no way that I can get my computer out or see it on my phone because it looks different and be able to answer your questions. So I'm kind of going to put one out probably Friday to everybody, that the best thing to do is use your phone, use the text message, because there are times when you say, well, I don't understand this. And I if I can't see what I'm looking at as you're writing, if you're really stuck and you feel I'm just not writing this right, take a picture of it, send it to me. I'll say good or bad. I don't care how many text messages I get. It's unlimited now. It used to be I only get X number of text messages, get X number of time on the phone. I can be on the phone as much as I need. But I could be there, look down and say, oh, Karen's hitting me up. What is this? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. Go. It's in real time. I could be sitting at church, be standing outside, doing something, see it. Look, boom, boom. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's go. So there's no real excuse to it. But again, I'm going to say, follow the template that you're given, put in the numbers, look at it and see how it is. Hi, Karen.
Okay, I have another question.
Shoot.
So under the intro section, we'll include the null and alternative hypothesis, but
Right at the very last thing.
does that fall under discussion then?
No, right there. So you do your introduction and then it's separated. So let's see. So if I was gonna bring this back up here, and
Because your instruction, it falls under the intro section.
right, it should be at the end of the intro section.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I don't have that one up. So you write your introduction, which is your intro sentence, purpose statement. I'm sorry, research question, purpose statement, and then you start a new line, and they're on 2 separate lines, just like we did in the other assignments.
Yes.
HO's on one line and H1 is on the second line. So if I was to type it in here, let's say this was my introduction. I go to the new line. I go HO equals there will be, and then I do H. Ooh, holy Moses. Typing it out, there will be no difference. H1, there will be a difference, and then you just basically do this and hit this little button here, bring it down, and then highlight this and make it this, and then there'll be a second line. So it's two separate lines, double spaced. There will be a difference.
We have to make a statement whether we reject the null or.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that at the end of your end of the results.
Okay, under this, okay, part of results section.
Part of results.
Okay.
So do the write up, and then right at the end, just put whether the null and the alternative. And those are supposed to be changes that were supposed to be made before she went, and they didn't happen.
Okay,
So
thank you.
I'll deal with it one way or the other. You know, we'll live with it. You're not going to get marked down if you don't do it. But the more that you do it, the better you get at it. That's why I'm so stringent. And a lot of people don't like it. But when you get in that DMP and things flow, my voice will come in the back of your head. It'll be like, oh, you're going to hear, I told you so. So, and that's always my prayer. I get lots of phone calls. Dr. Jeff, everything you said came true. Yeah, well, it happens. I haven't had anybody call and say, Jeff, Dr. Jeff, we didn't do any of that. I'd be very, very upset and very worried at that point. Okay. Any questions?
I got a
Any
quick
other
one.
Yeah,
I just have,
make it a long one.
okay. Well, just for the results section and the discussion section. So how I currently have it is just header results, and then I have the results, and then a header for discussion, and then you just want the like one sentence for the discussion.
One sentence for the discussion.
Okay.
I couldn't figure another word to put there. I didn't really want to put conclusion. I wanted to use words that you're going to hear in your DNP. So it is the conclusion, but I want you to hear words that you're going to hear and kind of understand them before you get there. The more that you get from that, somebody's going to say, I just don't understand what a discussion is. Well, you're going to say you're going to be talking about your results. Well, what do I put in my results? Well, you put all your write-ups in there, and they're going to go, what are write-ups? And you're going to be so far ahead of everybody else. So, all right. Any other questions? So to kind of bring it together, remember your one sample t-test looks at a test value versus a number. And it can be just a single number. It could be a number like this, could be a theme of something, or it could just be like your IQ, where it be just IQ. Okay, now moving to the independent sample, you can use that same number, okay? And now you could look at it by male and female. Advancing that, it can be anything that has two values. So if I'm doing let's say I'm doing socioeconomic, upper, middle, and lower, and I don't have any lower. Upper and middle is all I have. Now it becomes the independent sample t-test, not the ANOVA that we're going to be doing later. So you have those, okay? That is that anything has two. So yes, no. So like in the question that you had this week, were you a recruited athlete? Yes or no. That would fall into that would fall directly into an independent sample, where we could say, were you recruited? Now you could say, now I could look at whether they choked or not. Okay, were you a recruited athlete and choked? Were you a recruited athlete or not? And did you believe that you choked in competition? I have a number for that, but I have this two values here of yes and no. Now it takes that yes and no answer that we looked at in a frequency. Now it puts some teeth to it as, look, the recruited athletes didn't choke in competition, but the non-recruited athletes did. Now we can infer that because I have these are the simple conclusions. I can infer that being a recruited athlete creates less stress and less worry and in lots of, and possibly the possibility of less stress in lots of area, and they don't choke in competition as much. So those numbers infer to something. Now I take that and I look at something else in terms of I'm recruited, and I find recruited, and are your mommy and daddy paying for your schooling? I can look at it's endless of what I can look at, as long as it's got a yes or no, or it's two values. Okay. And that's it for this week. And again, the template's there for you. Knock yourself out, bang it out, get it done. And I know there's some nuances with the paper and everything else. And I apologize for stuff not being switched out like it was supposed to be. But know that if it doesn't look right, you're welcome to hit me up. Please hit me up. Don't be shy. Tell it to everybody, don't be shy. Don't be shy. And the reason you're not shy is, if it's wrong, I can do an announcement and an email to fix the problem. And then I just got to pray that you guys read it. So as long as you do that, we do that, we'll be right on track. So if you did the histograms already and I told you to take them out, leave them in there. I'm not stressed. But no data boxes, no SPSS boxes, no data, none of in Excel, none of this, because that takes away from the story. You're writing the same thing. You're writing the most important parts. You get all of this right here because Excel needs all those parts to be able to run the numbers. Whereas in SPSS, it's all done in the background. It pumps that out based on that. All right. Any questions? Other questions? So let me find you guys again, because you disappeared off the screen. I don't even see you at all. When you stop sharing, it will come up. There we go. All right. Any other questions? So I'm going to pray you guys out, and then we can, if you need to speak to me personally real quick, let's do that. Heavenly Father, thank you for the day. Thank you for all that are here. Thank you for the hard work that they're putting in. Lord, please let them know that edits are good things. That means that you're working toward perfection. It's a lot of work for me, but it brings me joy when I see good work coming out. Lord, this will help them in the future. I am 100% sure of it, Lord. I know that this is a challenge, and doing your doctorate in any subject is a challenge. And the challenges, once they're met, bring great satisfaction. Lord, please allow them to go through the rest of this week with being healthy, prosperous, and free from sin. And Lord, give them the time and the energy to finish all their assignments and stay on top of everything. And all God's people said, amen. So, all right. If you don't have any questions, you're welcome to sign off. And when everybody's gone, I'll get the recording start working. And I'm going to try and get it out tonight. If not, it'll be out first thing in the morning.
Thanks, Dr. Jeff.
No problem.